American shoppers trust their local supermarkets to provide safe, quality chicken for their families. Clean displays, bright lighting, and familiar brand names create an illusion of safety and freshness. But poultry industry insiders are breaking their silence about which major chains consistently deliver substandard chicken that poses serious health risks and quality issues. You walk into your neighborhood grocery store expecting the chicken to meet basic safety standards. The refrigerated cases look pristine, the packaging appears professional, and the prices seem reasonable. What you can't see is the supply chain reality behind those neat displays. Former meat department workers, quality inspectors, and industry whistleblowers reveal a disturbing pattern at 5 major American supermarket chains, where chicken quality control fails regularly. The psychology of grocery shopping works against consumers. We associate clean stores with clean food, assuming corporate chains maintain consistent standards across all locations. The reality is dramatically different. Chicken sourcing, handling procedures, temperature control, and turnover rates vary wildly between chains, even between individual stores within the same company. The chicken industry operates on razor-thin profit margins, creating pressure to cut corners wherever possible. Supermarkets receive chicken from processing facilities that prioritize speed and volume over quality control. The birds move through industrial processing systems designed for maximum efficiency, not optimal safety. By the time chicken reaches store shelves, it has been through multiple handling stages where contamination risks multiply exponentially. Temperature abuse represents the single greatest threat to chicken safety that most consumers never consider. Chicken must remain below 40 degrees Fahrenheit from processing facility to your refrigerator. Any break in this cold chain allows dangerous bacteria to multiply rapidly. Former grocery workers reveal shocking temperature control failures that happen regularly at major chains, putting customers at serious risk. The bacterial contamination statistics are alarming. Recent USDA testing found salmonella in over 20% of chicken samples from retail stores. Campylobacter contamination rates exceed 30% at some chains. These aren't abstract numbers. They represent real health risks that send thousands of Americans to emergency rooms annually with severe food poisoning symptoms. Cross-contamination in grocery stores creates additional hazards that most shoppers never consider. Chicken juices leak from packages, contaminating shopping carts, checkout conveyor belts, and other products. Store employees often lack proper training in handling raw poultry safely. The same gloves used to stock chicken get used for produce, spreading bacteria across departments. Processing date manipulation represents another industry secret that affects chicken quality dramatically. Those sell-by dates on packages don't tell the complete story. Chicken can be processed, frozen, thawed, and repackaged with new dates that legally comply with regulations while misleading consumers about actual freshness. Some chains engage in practices that maximize shelf life at the expense of quality. The antibiotic resistance crisis directly connects to industrial chicken production methods used by suppliers for major grocery chains. Birds raised in overcrowded conditions require constant antibiotic treatment to prevent disease outbreaks. These drugs create resistant bacterial strains that pose serious health threats to humans who consume the meat. Supermarkets that source from the most intensive production facilities expose customers to higher antibiotic resistance risks. Quality grading systems within the poultry industry favor appearance over actual meat quality. Chicken that looks appealing in store displays may come from birds that lived in deplorable conditions, suffered from diseases, or were processed under questionable sanitary standards. The visual inspection methods used by grocery stores focus on surface appearance rather than comprehensive quality assessment. Today, I'm revealing the 5 American supermarket chains where chicken quality control failures pose the greatest risk to your family's health and safety. These aren't small regional operators or discount chains. These are household names that millions of Americans trust weekly with their grocery purchases. The evidence comes from industry insiders who witnessed these problems firsthand and decided the public deserves to know the truth. The sourcing decisions made by these chains prioritize cost savings over customer safety. They contract with processing facilities that operate under minimal oversight, accept lower-grade chicken that other chains reject, and implement handling procedures that increase contamination risks. Former employees describe systematic corner cutting that puts profits before public health. Storage and display practices at these chains consistently violate best practices for maintaining chicken safety. Refrigeration systems malfunction regularly without immediate repairs. Temperature monitoring lacks consistency. Chicken sits in displays beyond safe time frames, while managers pressure staff to avoid waste by keeping questionable products available for sale. Staff training deficiencies create additional safety hazards that customers can't detect by visual inspection. Employees lack proper education about food safety protocols, cross-contamination prevention, and temperature abuse recognition. High turnover rates mean inexperienced workers handle raw poultry without understanding the health risks their mistakes create for customers. The supply chain transparency at these chains remains deliberately opaque to prevent customers from making informed decisions about chicken quality. Processing facility information gets hidden behind vague labeling. Country of origin details are minimized or obscured. Quality-grade information that could help consumers choose better options is intentionally not displayed prominently. Corporate culture at these chains treats chicken as a commodity rather than a product that directly impacts customer health. Decision-making prioritizes profit margins over safety investments. Quality control departments receive insufficient resources to properly monitor chicken safety. Customer complaints about illness get handled through legal departments rather than operations improvements. The price competition among these chains creates a race to the bottom in chicken sourcing standards. They seek the cheapest suppliers regardless of quality implications. Processing facilities that offer the lowest bids often achieve those prices through safety shortcuts that increase contamination risks. Customers pay the ultimate price through health consequences that cost far more than the grocery savings. Regional distribution systems at these chains compound quality control problems by introducing additional handling stages where temperature abuse and contamination can occur. Chicken travels longer distances through more transfer points, increasing opportunities for safety failures. Distribution center practices lack the oversight that processing facilities receive from federal inspectors. The packaging systems used by these chains often mask quality problems that would be obvious with fresh chicken. Prepackaged chicken hides visual indicators of spoilage or contamination. Modified atmosphere packaging can extend apparent freshness, while bacteria continue multiplying inside sealed containers. Consumers lose the ability to properly assess chicken quality before purchase. Customer complaint tracking at these chains reveals patterns of illness reports that get minimized or ignored rather than investigated properly. Food poisoning cases linked to chicken purchases rarely result in operational changes. The legal liability protection built into grocery retail shields these chains from consequences, while customers suffer the health impacts. The testing protocols these chains use for incoming chicken shipments focus on meeting minimum legal requirements rather than ensuring optimal safety. Sampling rates are insufficient to detect contamination problems consistently. Testing procedures lack sensitivity to identify emerging bacterial strains that pose new health threats. Tomorrow we'll examine each of these 5 chains individually, revealing specific practices that make their chicken departments particularly dangerous. The evidence includes internal documents, employee testimonies, and health department inspection reports that expose systematic safety failures. You'll learn exactly which chains to avoid and why their chicken poses unacceptable risks to your family's health. The pattern becomes undeniable once you understand how these chains operate. Cost-cutting measures compromise safety at every level, from sourcing through final sale. Customer trust gets exploited, while corporate profits take priority over public health. The time has come for consumers to know which supermarket chains consistently fail to protect them from contaminated chicken. The meat industry's dirty secret lies in how these 5 chains manipulate their chicken sourcing to maximize profits while minimizing accountability. Former procurement managers reveal bidding processes that prioritize rock-bottom prices over safety standards. Processing facilities compete by cutting corners on sanitation, worker training, and quality control measures that directly impact the chicken reaching your dinner table. Walmart represents the most problematic chain for chicken safety according to multiple industry sources. Their aggressive cost-cutting extends throughout their poultry supply chain, creating systematic quality control failures that put customers at risk. Former meat department employees describe receiving chicken shipments that arrive at temperatures well above safe limits, but managers pressure staff to accept deliveries to avoid disrupting inventory flow. The Walmart chicken sourcing strategy focuses exclusively on securing the lowest possible wholesale prices regardless of quality implications. They contract with processing facilities that operate on minimal safety margins, often accepting chicken that higher-end chains reject. Their distribution centers lack adequate refrigeration monitoring, allowing temperature abuse during transport that creates ideal conditions for bacterial growth. Employee training at Walmart meat departments receives minimal investment, leaving workers unprepared to identify contaminated chicken or handle raw poultry safely. High turnover rates mean inexperienced staff members stock chicken displays without understanding proper rotation procedures or temperature maintenance requirements. Cross-contamination becomes inevitable when undertrained employees handle multiple products without following basic food safety protocols. Walmart's package date manipulation practices deceive customers about actual chicken freshness. Chicken gets repackaged with new dates when approaching expiration, creating artificial shelf life extension that masks quality deterioration. The modified atmosphere packaging they use can hide visual signs of spoilage, while bacteria continue multiplying inside sealed containers. Customer illness complaints at Walmart rarely trigger operational improvements in their chicken departments. Legal teams handle food poisoning reports through settlement negotiations rather than addressing underlying safety problems. The corporate culture treats contaminated chicken as a cost of doing business rather than a serious health threat requiring immediate correction. Kroger emerges as another major concern for chicken safety failures, according to former quality control inspectors. Their centralized processing approach creates single points of failure that can contaminate chicken across multiple store locations simultaneously. When problems occur at Kroger processing facilities, the contamination spreads throughout their distribution network before detection occurs. The Kroger supply chain relies heavily on chicken from industrial farming operations that use intensive antibiotic treatments to prevent disease outbreaks in overcrowded conditions. The Kroger supply chain relies heavily on chicken from industrial farming operations that use intensive antibiotic treatments to prevent disease outbreaks in overcrowded conditions. These practices create antibiotic-resistant bacterial strains that pose serious health risks to consumers. Kroger's testing procedures lack sensitivity to detect these emerging resistant bacteria strains consistently. Temperature control failures at Kroger stores happen regularly, according to former refrigeration technicians. Cooling systems malfunction without immediate repairs, while chicken remains in warming display cases for extended periods. Managers avoid discarding questionable chicken to maintain profit margins, leaving customers to purchase potentially contaminated products. Kroger's chicken rotation practices fail to follow first and first-out principles that ensure freshness. Newer shipments get placed in front of older stock, allowing chicken to sit beyond safe consumption timeframes while appearing fresh to customers. Employee scheduling cuts mean fewer workers available to properly manage chicken inventory rotation. Safeway represents the third major chain where chicken safety problems persist despite their premium market positioning. Their chicken sourcing includes processing facilities with documented sanitation violations that federal inspectors have cited repeatedly. Safeway continues purchasing from these problematic suppliers because alternative sources would increase wholesale costs significantly. The Safeway chicken handling procedures at store level create unnecessary contamination risks through poor employee training and inadequate equipment maintenance. Meat cutting areas lack proper sanitization between different products, allowing cross-contamination between chicken and other proteins. Display case cleaning happens infrequently, creating bacterial buildup that affects all chicken stored in contaminated cases. Safeway's pricing strategy forces them to source chicken from the same low-cost suppliers used by discount chains while charging premium prices. Customers pay higher prices expecting better quality but receive chicken with identical safety risks. The markup generates profits while providing no actual quality improvements over cheaper alternatives. Customer service responses at Safeway minimize illness complaints related to chicken purchases rather than investigating potential safety failures. Store managers receive training to offer refunds and apologies while avoiding admission of responsibility for contamination problems. Corporate policies discourage reporting illness complaints to health departments unless legally required. Albertsons continues the pattern of cost-cutting measures that compromise chicken safety throughout their supply chain operations. Their processing facility contracts prioritize volume capacity over sanitation standards, creating systematic contamination risks that affect chicken quality consistently. Quality control inspections focus on meeting minimum legal requirements rather than ensuring optimal safety standards. The Albertsons distribution system introduces additional contamination opportunities through extended transport times and multiple handling stages. Chicken travels longer distances between processing facilities and stores, increasing temperature abuse risks during transit. Loading dock procedures at stores lack proper refrigeration protocols, allowing chicken to warm above safe temperatures during unloading processes. Albertsons employee compensation packages create high turnover rates in meat departments where experience matters most for maintaining food safety. Inexperienced workers handle raw chicken without understanding contamination prevention methods or proper storage procedures. Training programs receive insufficient funding to properly educate staff about food safety requirements. The Albertsons chicken packaging often uses modified atmosphere techniques that mask spoilage indicators, while bacteria continue growing inside sealed containers. Customers lose visual cues that would normally indicate chicken quality problems. Package dates reflect processing times rather than actual freshness, misleading customers about safe consumption timeframes. Target rounds out the 5 chains where chicken safety concerns create unacceptable health risks for customers. Their limited experience in fresh food retail shows through inadequate chicken handling procedures and insufficient quality control measures. Target's focus on general merchandise leaves their food departments understaffed and undertrained compared to traditional grocery competitors. The Target chicken sourcing strategy relies on third-party suppliers who handle procurement decisions without direct oversight from Target food safety experts. This hands-off approach creates accountability gaps where contamination problems can develop without detection. Target lacks the grocery industry expertise to properly evaluate chicken quality from their suppliers. Target store layouts prioritize general merchandise over fresh food departments, creating logistical challenges for maintaining proper chicken storage conditions. Refrigeration systems designed for packaged foods struggle to maintain consistent temperatures required for raw poultry safety. Employee scheduling gives priority to other departments, leaving chicken displays understaffed during critical periods. These 5 chains share common characteristics that make their chicken departments particularly dangerous for consumers. Cost-cutting measures compromise safety at every operational level, while corporate policies shield management from accountability when contamination problems occur. Customers deserve transparency about these systematic failures that put their families at serious health risk every time they purchase chicken from these problematic retailers. The inspection records from health departments reveal disturbing patterns at these 5 chains that most customers never see. Internal documents obtained through Freedom of Information requests show repeated violations for temperature abuse, cross-contamination, and improper storage procedures. These violations receive minimal fines, while the underlying safety problems continue unaddressed. Former health inspectors describe walking into these chain locations and immediately detecting the smell of spoiled chicken that managers try to mask with aggressive cleaning products. Display cases show visible bacterial buildup in corners where proper sanitization never occurs. Thermometers read temperatures well above safe limits, while employees continue stocking fresh chicken alongside potentially contaminated products. The employee whistleblower testimonies paint an even darker picture of systematic corner cutting that puts customer health at risk daily. Workers describe being pressured to accept chicken deliveries that arrive warm, smell suspicious, or show visible signs of spoilage. Managers threaten job security for employees who refuse to stock questionable chicken, creating a culture where safety concerns get ignored. Documentation from former corporate quality control managers reveals how these chains manipulate testing procedures to avoid detecting contamination problems. Sampling schedules get adjusted to avoid periods when contamination is most likely. Testing locations get chosen to minimize chances of finding bacterial growth. Results that indicate safety problems get buried in administrative paperwork, rather than triggering operational improvements. The processing facility relationships these chains maintain create additional red flags that informed consumers should recognize. They contract with suppliers that operate under consent orders from federal agencies following serious safety violations. These facilities continue processing chicken for major retailers while under enhanced oversight for previous contamination incidents. Supply chain transparency remains deliberately limited at these chains to prevent customers from making informed purchasing decisions. Processing facility names get hidden behind corporate subsidiaries that obscure actual production locations. Country of origin labeling uses vague terminology that masks where chicken actually gets raised and processed. Quality-grade information that could help customers choose safer options stays buried in technical specifications. The bacterial testing results from independent laboratories tell a shocking story about contamination rates at these 5 chains compared to competitors. Salmonella detection rates run significantly higher than industry averages. Campylobacter contamination exceeds safe thresholds consistently across multiple store locations. Antibiotic-resistant bacterial strains appear more frequently in chicken from these problematic retailers. Customer illness tracking data reveals patterns that these chains work actively to suppress rather than address through operational improvements. Emergency room visits for food poisoning cluster around geographic areas where these chains dominate grocery market share. Health department investigations consistently trace illness outbreaks back to chicken purchased from these specific retailers. The legal strategies these chains employ protect corporate interests while leaving contaminated customers without recourse. Settlement agreements include non-disclosure clauses that prevent victims from sharing their experiences publicly. Corporate legal teams challenge health department findings through administrative appeals that delay corrective actions for months or years. You've now heard the disturbing truth about chicken safety failures at Walmart, Kroger, Safeway, Albertsons, and Target. The pattern is undeniable. These household names prioritize profits over your family's health through systematic corner cutting that creates serious contamination risks. Smart shoppers will avoid these chains entirely or seek alternatives from retailers that maintain proper safety standards. Your health is worth more than convenience or savings when the cost could be food poisoning or antibiotic-resistant infections.